What's happening here at YouTube is throttling independent news shows like us, right? Why? Because places like NBC News and the New York Times see us as competition, which we are, and we're often, before they started screwing us, we're getting better numbers than MSNBC and CNN's daytime shows, and now they're throttling the hell out of us, and the way they do it is they try to scare regular people about YouTube. They make it seem like it's this scary netherworld of everybody's a creepy extremist. And so NBC News did another hit piece. So what happens is they do these hit pieces, and then YouTube invents another algorithm because they don't want to make their advertisers jittery about advertising on YouTube. So then they crack down. They have an algorithm that suppresses us. Right now, YouTube is bragging that they're suppressing channels like ours 80%. So let's watch what NBC did, another bullshit hit piece, and here it is. They set up two people to create YouTube accounts and then see what kind of stuff got recommended. Here we go.
Last name shares a house with her mother. Where is she now? Is she?
So they're going to show you a young kid or a teen, looks like a teenage kid, and then show her mother, and her mother is afraid that her kid downstairs who's in the house with her is being radicalized by YouTube right now. Watch this.
Last name shares a house with her mother. Where is she now? Is she in the house with you now?
Yeah, I think she's downstairs with my son.
But social media is tearing them apart.
The things she sends me, I feel that I can't trust her if she's my mother.
She says
So I just want to, I'm going to play this again. Because
last name shares a house with her mother. Where is she now? Is she in the house with you now?
Yeah, I think she's downstairs.
Okay, what video did you watch that got your hair radicalized? That's my first question. That would be that. You're a white person with dreadlocks. There's something missing there. And you're worried about your daughter on YouTube. She's worried about her daughter on YouTube.
Last name shares a house with her mother. Where is she now? Is she in the house with you now?
Yeah, I think she's downstairs with my son.
But social media is tearing them apart.
The things she sends me, I feel...
She's not talking about her daughter. Her mother. She's talking about her mother. She's worried that her mother is consuming different social media than she is, has different ideas about the world, and it's tearing them apart. And Ron, I don't know if you know this, but before social media, families never argued.
Absolutely. And they never had different political opinions either. That never happened.
I mean, I remember watching All in the Family. Everybody got along great. I don't know if you ever watched the reruns of that show, but when I was a kid, what in the F? This is real. This is real. Okay, here, I'll start it again.
Last name shares a house with her mother. Where is she now? Is she in the house with you now?
Yeah, I think she's downstairs with my son.
But social media is tearing them apart.
The things she sends me, I feel that I can't trust her if she's my mother.
She says a year ago, her mother started consuming right-wing content on social media.
This election was a military-grade sting operation.
And is now sharing videos about QAnon and anti-Semitic theories. Her mother declined to speak with us.
It's not that I think she's my enemy. It's that I'm afraid that she's being used as a weapon against me.
Researchers say this happens every day. So we performed an unscientific test.
Yeah, because people who watch MSNBC and Fox News, they never have this same exact thing happen to them. That never happens. People who read the Washington Post or the Washington Times, they never have this exact same thing happen to them, ever. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
That this never happens. So, so the people who read Mother Jones and read the National Review, they never have this happen.
You know how, sometimes before a news story, if there's, graphic content, they'll be like, viewer discretion. There may be some graphic footage in the next story we're about to do. Stories like this, they should have a similar warning, but the warning should just be viewer discretion. We have 24 hours to fill, and sometimes we're really grasping, and this is a bunch of bullshit coming up, because that's what this is. We have 24 hours to fill. So here's
what they're saying
total
is
bullshit.
What they should have said in the front of this is hey, since Trump, who had his TV show on our network for over a decade, and we made him president. Since he's gone, our ratings are in the shitter. So now we have to find a way to scare you while making sure we squelch our competition on YouTube. That's all this is. That's our news views are down because we don't get to report on Trump anymore and scare the shit out of you with that. Also, YouTube shows are more popular than we are, so we have to do this to suppress them. And that's all this is. That's all this is. Here we go. Hey.
Scientific science every day. So we performed an unscientific test. I took my Facebook account that had no followers or friends. I'm going to follow the top 3 right-leaning pages.
So you guys are, so they're writing what this is called is doing a super unscientific test. That's what this is. This is just a guy just randomly doing something and trying to make it. I bet you it works out. I bet you whatever happens fulfills his predetermined philosophy of scaring the shit out of you about YouTube. I bet you. So he's going to show you how scary it is to go on YouTube.
You know what's really funny is that if this was a YouTube clip, it would get like no views whatsoever. Like if some random guy's just like, hey, I don't have any Facebook friends and I'm about to do this unscientific thing. Don't forget to subscribe. No one's going to watch that. They're like, what?
Here we go.
I'm moving on.
Follow the top 3 right-leaning pages plus some dog content and see what happens. My colleague Melanie created a new account and did the same, but she went left 7 days.
A lot of people just...
But they don't say what left means. They don't say who they followed. They don't say what is... So to her, left could mean Rachel Maddow, which, as we all know, is right-wing. Total establishment, claptrap, conspiracy theories, and pro-war.
Commending President Biden's job so far.
What the hell did Joe Biden just say? Part 14. On Facebook and YouTube, clicking on whatever they're...
He seemed disgusted by that. Did you notice that? He says, what the hell did Joe Biden just say? Part 14. Do you see what these kids are doing? 14 things that are mean to Joe Biden. Well, because the president's demented and he can never complete a sentence? That's why they're able to do 14 videos.
Algorithms suggest. Melanie's feed stayed with the issues at first.
Bernie Sanders chairs hearing on the high cost of prescription drugs.
But by day 3, it was a lot of one thing.
It's a lot from Occupy Democrats. That's kind of the dominating force on my page right now.
And mine just went more and more extreme, recommending new influencers. Now they're throwing me at Dan Bongino. Conspiracy theories by day 4. Bigfoot believers. Really? Nonstop anger by day 5. Leftists are becoming the racists. Same with Melanie's.
So the other day, somebody sent me a link to Conservapedia, a Wikipedia made for and by conservatives. And it's pretty bad.
And by the end of the week, a steady diet of fear. The world looks very dangerous.
The irony is, this is a fear piece. And they're trying to make you afraid that they're peddling fear. That's an irony. Something should melt down because of that irony. Something should have
no
a calibrator, an irony calibrator should break.
Yeah, a steady diet of fear is the most accurate description of cable news I have ever heard. Cable news is if it bleeds, it leads. That's all they do is try to scare the shit out of you, no matter what the topic. And here it is. The topic is social media. And what are they doing? They're trying to scare the shit out of you. And how are they doing it? Because now they're peddling fear. You mean like you guys do?
On YouTube, violent robbery caught on camera. Woman fires shots.
Violent robbery caught on camera. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like the local news. And where do you think they got that video from? Probably from the local news.
Yeah, they probably had to do a couple like different takes where he's just like, get a load of, oh wait, shit, that's us. I'm not going to read that one. I'm not going to read it. Cut, do another take. Hang on, let me get my serious face back on.
Facebook had no comment. YouTube says that recent changes mean watch time of borderline content from recommendations has dropped by over 70% in the
Hang on.
Says that recent changes mean watch time of borderline content.
Facebook didn't comment to them.
Had no comment. YouTube says that recent changes mean watch time of borderline content from recommendations has dropped by over 70%.
So what that means is shows like ours, they consider ours borderline content. And so they have a special algorithm now that suppresses borderline content, meaning news.
Yeah, it sounds like they're basically saying, well, we're not recommending it. So the views that it's getting, people are finding it, but we're not recommending it.
So so they're not recommending our show like they do other news shows like MSNBC or NBC News with the van attack.
Yeah.
So they're not so we don't have a level playing field with NBC News. We don't have a level playing field with CNN. We don't have a level playing field with Fox. We don't have a level playing field with Vox. We don't have a level playing field with the Young Turks. We're not on the corporate algorithm. We're being suppressed. So they brag. This is YouTube bragging that material like ours, videos from the Jimmy Dore show, have been suppressed and their views have dropped 70%. Now, at the beginning of the COVID, we were getting 15, 16 million views a month. We're now getting 6 million views a month. They are suppressing the shit out of this show. The show is only exponentially more popular. It has to be. Of course it is. So we went from getting 16 million views a month at the beginning of COVID to now we're getting around 6. And YouTube was bragging that their views on a category of views on their media platform is down by 70%. They're bragging. So this is how the machine controls the narrative. We just stop your growth. Our growth is stopped. And our views are down by 70%. Look at that.
US. But researchers say the algorithms are geared to grab us. We click on extreme content, so the system gives us more extreme content.
Over time, that can actually give you the impression that some things that are more obscure or extreme are very much in the normal sphere of conversation.
The most successful influencers are the most extreme.
On Twitter, 73% of posts about politics are created by about 6% of Twitter users, and those 6% of Twitter users have very extreme views.
Jerusha.
This sounds like fear-mongering. Oh, my God, there's just a few people that are all being controlled again. I thought it was Putin that was controlling us. Now it's just random 6%. What? Yes, 6% of the people on Twitter are really good at tweeting. They make better tweets than other people. That's why people follow them, and that's why their tweets get amplified. I'm guessing, but they want to scare the shit out of you.
Also, I don't know. I mean, I have no way of proving this, but I find it hard to believe only 6% of people on Twitter are tweeting about politics. I find that hard to believe. I think it's got to be way higher.
Yeah, they were saying that 6% of the people create the most. Most. Yeah, they weren't saying that 6%. They were saying that 6% create.
Yeah, and they're tweeting all the political stuff, and it's very far out there. I mean, still that just sounds.
It's all. This is all
what's
nuts.
he basing that off of?
This is just all. Exactly right. What study is that? Who fucking did that study? Did David Frum do that study? Who did that study? Did Media Matters do that study? The people have gotten everything.
Now belongs to an online group for adults who've lost loved ones to politics on social media.
It makes it 10 times worse knowing that this is happening everywhere in this country right now.
Jake Ward, NBC News, Oakland, California.
Yeah, this is the first time it's ever happened. People's families got split up over politics. It never happened during the Vietnam War, I'll tell you that, Ron.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, all those shows that I've watched over the years about families being torn apart over the Vietnam War. I guess that was all totally based on nothing that really happened. I guess that never happened anywhere in real life.
So every bad problem you have, turns out it's because of YouTube and our videos. So I bet they have a solution at NBC News. I bet it is, to get rid of those videos. I'm going to guess they're for pro-censorship. Yes. And I'm sure they're for advertisers not advertising on YouTube. And that's all this is. That's all this is. NBC News are the biggest liars they're going. They smeared Tulsi Gabbard as a Russian asset while she was a currently serving officer in the fucking military, serving in those bullshit wars that NBC sold us. That's what NBC News does. They're garbage, and they should be censored. If you're going to censor anybody, it would be, hey, are you backed by a billionaire corporation? Then you should be censored, probably, because you get everything wrong. The reason why we have a show is because we debunk NBC News and CNN and TYT and places like that on the regular. That's what this show does. So when TYT smears Julian Assange, we debunk that. When TYT tells you that Kevin McCarthy is going to become speaker if they do force the vote, we debunk that. Those obvious lies. This is what NBC News would make you think the real problem in America is. The real problem in America is YouTube. That's what NBC News wants. You know what the real problem in America is? I don't know. Maybe the federal minimum wage hasn't gone up ever. While the wealth of the 400 richest Americans has doubled since 2009. There it is, 725 all the way. It still is. Here we are. What is that? 12 years later. And in those 12 years, the richest Americans doubled their wealth.
And cost of living certainly went up. Cost of an apartment went up. Cost of everything.
Healthcare certainly.
Healthcare, yeah.
Breaking, Biden proposes $753 billion for the Pentagon. That's an extra $20 billion for the Pentagon. That's an extra $20 billion. You know how much it costs to end homelessness? $20 billion. Instead of doing that, Joe Biden decided to give that to Raytheon to go bomb brown people. He could have given $20 billion to end student debt relief, give student debt relief. He didn't do that. He gave $20 billion to Raytheon to go bomb brown people. But the problem is YouTube. And NBC News is going to cheer this on. Why? Because they get advertising money from the military-industrial complex. And they get advertising from the banks on Wall Street that invest in these people. That's why. The United States has more nuclear warheads than hospitals.
Wow.
And you think the problem is YouTube. You don't think the problem is that we have a complete corrupt government that serves the handful of oligarchs while screwing the workers, which is setting the table for a real revolution. As the U.S. ends its 20-year war in Afghanistan, here's a reminder that our post-9/11 wars have cost us $6 trillion and counting. Imagine what we could have did with $6 trillion. This is working people who lost health care during the pandemic. In Australia, 0. Belgium, 0. Canada, Chile, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Japan, Norway, Portugal, Poland, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, the UK, 0. Nobody in those countries lost their health care. In the United States, 14 million people did. If you round up, it's 15 million.
So is Public Citizen one of those 6% of Twitter accounts I'm supposed to be afraid of?
Yes, you're probably supposed to be afraid of these tweets.
All those facts that they're sharing.
See, that got 7,000 likes, so that's bad. That's popular, and that's supposed to be scary. Hey, by the way, I hope I make it. That's what a 7-year-old Alabama girl who's selling lemonade to fund her own brain surgery said. But the problem NBC News wants you to think is YouTube. Why? Because we're beating them and taking their advertising dollars. That's why. And YouTube, the CEO of YouTube would love to get rid of us. We're a pain in her ass. Google is the most profitable company in the history of the world. They own YouTube. They could get rid of independent news with no problem and never have a problem. And that's what they want. They're not for us doing news. They're not for you getting a different perspective on the news than what the corporate oligarchs want you to have. That's YouTube. So that I'm telling you, it doesn't look good for free speech or news. Go ahead, Ron. Did you want to say something?
No, I mean,
okay.
you see stories like that, and the saddest part too is another thing the corporate media does. They try to brand this as a feel good story.
Yeah.
Instead of telling the real story of how disgusting is it that our system puts people in these situations. In this case, a 7-year-old girl. How disgusting is the system that allows this to be reality? You know, they try to make it out like, oh, it's a feel good story. She's selling lemonade. It's not a feel good story.
Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.